I don't get it. It's illegal for kids to buy cigarettes, yet at our public high school there was an action. It wasn't the name the kids called it, it was the name the administrators called it. It was the smoking section. So the smoking section is filled with freaks smoking, and all the preppers and the jocks are over here, but they're all both sides of this walkway into the main door. And so this is what's going on. To kind of give you an idea of the hard edge, this sort of rough crowd that I'm getting ready to have my identity crippled in a moment by my father, as he's dropping me off in his Ford Aerostar. So there, as this is all going on with the freaks, jocks, preps, and all the good-looking girls, especially loitering in front of the school, we pulled up to this door, and there is a long string of cars that are behind us because I'm not the only one getting dropped off. Usually, you want to be pretty fast about getting dropped off, right?
Yeah.
Have you met my dad? Right? I know you're going to probably think I'm exaggerating, but I am not. Okay? This is a school of about 2,500 students, and I am certain that morning, all of them were there right in front of me where I'm getting ready to walk in. And all of them stopped doing, it's like a classic 80s movie, all of them stopped doing, like the music goes, right? And everybody goes like this is what happens, this is how I feel. And so I'm opening the door to get out of my passenger side, passenger side seat, to get out, to go, and he's like, hold on. And I'm looking around, it's like, where are you going? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, give me a kiss. I did the exact same thing you just did. I said, you cannot possibly be serious, right? Do you see what I am looking at here? He's like, I'm not joking, give me a kiss. Or you're grounded. That's not a lie. I think I said, like, how long would I be grounded if I don't do this? He said, I am deadly serious, give me a kiss. Yes, it happened. I am certain that the world decelerated to slow motion at that moment. And everyone, I know that that's what happened. I couldn't tell because my back was to them when I was kissing my 43-year-old, bald-headed, minivan driving pastor of a dad as I gave him that kiss. It ranked as probably one of the most humiliating moments of my young life. What kind of a torturer does that to anybody, let alone their own son? Well, I kissed him, and I walked the walk of shame right in between, and all the freaks are flicking their cigarette butts at me as they're laughing. Nice band, It was traumatic. Well, guess today who makes his kids give him a kiss no matter where he's dropping them off. The things that we find to be crippling are probably the things that are the most teachable moment, right? It was crazy. He should have never done that, of course, but what it taught me was, I don't remember a single person's name in the 2,500 people that I estimate were circling that van that day. I couldn't tell you a single person's name, but I remember my dad. I remember what he said and what he did, even as a joke. It registers with me today. And I do the exact same thing. What we do as people who are in critical places and positions of impact and of influence, what we do will stick with those people that we love. It'll stick with those people that we serve. It'll stick with those people that we are forming for a whole lifetime. It will last forever. I will never not remember that. I will never not live like that. I will take it into eternity. And one day when his house is over there and my house is over there in heaven, he'll probably say, dude, hook me up with that kiss. Right? It will last forever. It'll last not just a lifetime, it'll last beyond that. And then when we do these things, even if it's hard lessons, even if it's something that they do not yet get, as a player under your coaching, as a student, or just a person that you know, it will lift their lives higher than it was ever lifted before. I didn't know it at the time, but my life with that little act was being lifted beyond whatever I perceived humiliation to be. It made a difference in my life. And keep in mind, and this is in all seriousness now, it was a huge deal. What we're talking about here is a huge deal. Lifting those that we serve, lifting those that we teach, lifting those that we mentor, and model life before, just like somebody else did before. Because if we don't, if we don't help lift where they are going to live life without the necessary elevated perspective to see life as it is. Now, I was here. I had no idea that having to kiss my father in front of the jocks, freaks, preppies, beautiful women, and nerds would make any sense to life. And now I do. If somebody doesn't do that, that's just one of my examples of my family. You're doing that as a teacher every single morning. You're doing that as a coach every time you're on the court or on the field after school that day. Because this world can mess them up. If we don't help them have an elevated view of God, an elevated view of relationship, of their life, what God's making them to be, if we don't help them get there, if we don't help lift them there, the world will mess them up. Reality. You are needed. Desperately needed. Because this world is dangerous. And it's not just a modern problem. It's not just a city problem. It's not just an American problem. It is a transcendent human reality. This world will mess people up. But as I say, it's a human issue, and it's existed long even before the passage that we're going to read, the story that we're going to read from today. And so if you have a Bible, I'm going to ask and invite you into opening to the book of Exodus. For those of you who are guests of ours today, or on our guests as a teacher or mentor, or you're alongside them, or today you just happen to show up to Grace Fellowship Church on this day, you may not know, but we've been, since the start of the fall, as a church, been going our way through the Old Testament book of Exodus. And it's been so impactful. And we've met Moses in this book, we've met Pharaoh, we've met burning bushes, we've met the intense judgments of the 10 plagues, which had a lot of lessons all on its own. We've been a part of the Passover. We've been a part of the experience where God splits the waters of the Great Sea and the Israelites walk through on dry ground. We've been through the God's daily provision of manna, that daily bread that Jesus talked about. Thanking God for our daily bread. We saw the first example of it in manna. We've been to the part where Moses hits the rock with his staff, with his stick, and water comes gushing out in the desert. And today we find the Hebrews, as they made their way out of slavery and out of Egypt, they're in a desert, wandering around in the wilderness, but they're south of their desired destination, which is the land of promise. They want to get there, but God, as the best teacher, coach of all, has puzzlingly directed them through wilderness. Not in the fastest route, which is what a coach does. He does not give them the easiest path there. He takes them through the wilderness, and for training purposes, which they have yet to fully appreciate. So that's what's going on right now. Exodus chapter 17 is where we find ourselves as the story picks up. They've already had quite a few encounters. Now they're going to have another one. It's the first time they will have had an enemy name themselves an enemy of them, called the Amalekites. Chapter 17, verse 8. While the people of Israel were still at Rephidim, the warriors of Amalek attacked them. Israel's done nothing. They've not provoked anything. Amalek just comes and attacks them. Moses commanded Joshua, "Choose some men to go out and fight the army of Amalek for us. Tomorrow I will stand at the top of the hill. And when I do, I will hold the staff of God in my hand." So Joshua did what Moses had commanded and fought the army of Amalek. Meanwhile, Moses, Aaron, and Hur, bookmark those names in your head. Moses, Aaron, and Hur climbed to the top of the nearby hill. And as long as Moses held up the staff in his hand, the Israelites had the advantage. But whenever he dropped his hand, the Amalekites gained the advantage. What happens when you hold your hands above your head very long? What happens in verse 12? Moses' arms soon became so tired he could no longer hold them up. So, Aaron and Hur found a stone for him to sit on. They rolled a rock over to him, and they stood on each side of Moses, holding up his hands. So his hands held steady. Isn't that dynamic? His hands held steady until sunset, and as a result, Joshua overwhelmed the army of Amalek in battle. Basic storyline here: Israel prevails when Moses is here with the staff, and they falter when his arm is down here. What is going on with that? I'm not sure if you're a student of Exodus, whether this is your first time at Grace Fellowship or you've been to church 1,000 times. You got to ask a basic question, as if you've never read the Bible before. If you came to this passage for the first time, what goes on with that? Because if you know a little bit about Exodus, you know that God is performing these amazing miracles all the way through the book. And yet we have a strange thing here, is that Moses, when he has the staff here, they win, and when it's just down about 3 inches further, they lose. It seems kind of petty. It seems kind of strange. How could a staff have that kind of impact between winning and losing, between God blessing and protecting them and possibly not? Well, the power of this staff, all the way through the book of Exodus, and all the way through these wilderness wanderings that Israel will be a part of, the staff helped keep Moses' identity as it was. Who was Moses? Moses is just a simple shepherd, not the smartest guy. He's just a simple shepherd, a simple guy who could be used by God. His staff was a part of his identity. If he'd have been a coach, maybe it would have been a whistle. Maybe it would have been a clipboard. If he was a teacher, maybe what he'd have got is said, make sure you bring your red delicious apple. Maybe bring your chalk, your long piece of chalk, because that's a symbol, it's your identity. There's nothing magic in it. It's just who he called him to be. He made him to be that kind of guy. God uses us in the original way he made us. And those of you who are teachers today and coaches and the people who are being honored as an educator, I would love for you, if you can, please, I always tell people this, please daydream while I'm preaching. And this is what I mean. If your mind goes somewhere, it's probably because God's taking you there. And I hope that you somehow daydream at some point back to the roots of how you became who you are. He originally made you for a reason. He didn't make Moses to be a general. He made him to be a shepherd. The staff wasn't mystical. There was no magic in that staff. It was symbolic. Because he made each and every one of us just like Moses, who was a shepherd, in a unique way. And God intends on harnessing that for something that's bigger than being a shepherd. He didn't call a general to lead Israel. He called a shepherd. Because there's no miracle to be regarded or recognized when Dwight D. Eisenhower wins a war, or when Norman Schwarzkopf could have won this battle. But I tell you what, there's a big miracle and something big to recognize if it's a herder of goats. Yeah? He called him to be that person because he wanted to use him beyond that. And that's what that staff is about. So if God can lead millions of people through a desert with a shepherd, he can do anything. And so that's our role as leaders and lifters. Be reminded that whoever we may be shaping, we're not shaping them in any other image than that which is God's and what he has for them. God made them, those who are teaching, coaching, loving on, mentoring. He made them, not us. He's not somebody else. And so God's got a plan for them, and that's exactly the identity he's trying to have them live up into. But that also goes for us. You be you. Teachers, mentors, coaches. You be you. Don't be somebody else. I don't want to be another preacher, another pastor. I want to be who God made me to be. You should be the teacher, the coach, just like God made you to be. He made you uniquely. And he can't use you specially for his purposes in that design if you're busy trying to be somebody else. You get it? You can't be used by God if you're busy being the person he didn't make you to be. Use your staff, what he gave to you. Back to the larger story. I just think that's an amazing part of the story of Moses. But back in that larger story with maybe a more important question is, why did Moses have to keep the staff from here instead of here all day long? I mean, really, it's a 3-inch kind of difference. What's going on with that? If God was determined to protect his people as they made their way through the desert, he had already parted the sea. He had made bread fly from the sky, and quails too. He made water come out of a rock. If he's busy doing miracles, why would the difference between this and a willing-hearted person and I'm tired here make a difference? It seems strange. Why would he not just drop a gigantic fire plug with a cosmic-sized fire hose where they could hook it up, just like the Chicago police did this summer with the protesters, and just, water blast back the Amalekites? Why not do something amazing miracle like that? Why is it being held up to a thing like this, to this? I mean, that's a big deal. Why would he do that then? I'd say for the same reasons. That he expected the Israelite soldiers who had to go out and get in the valley, in the middle of the desert, and to fight, to sweat, bleed, work hard. He expected them to do their responsibility, and that was not going to be easy. Why would it be any different for Moses? This is a hard work. It's no more bizarre than to expect that same thing from soldiers to Moses as well, which is a basic principle of human responsibility, which is what we're teaching as coaches, right, and teachers. It's written about all the way through the Bible. It's written all through human history. Life is hard, and we must work with diligence at it. In the process, our arms may grow weary. Which brings us to the point of today, before we leave. He's choosing to do the hard thing. Moses is trying to do the hard thing, but there are a couple other people involved in this thing as well. To not only do the hard thing, but to do the selfless thing. Think about it. It was not just the soldiers called them to fight to protect God's people, to try and do justice, to try and stop an injustice that's being done against people. mothers and children and babies. They're attacking these people, the elderly, the weak, the vulnerable. That's what's going on in the story. So he sends the soldiers out, and then he sends Moses to do something about it as well. But these are not the only people. There were two more involved in this battle, and who we find are instrumental in a task impossible for one person to do alone. It's a guy named Aaron and a guy named Hur. The heroic aspect of this story, I think, well, it's probably read all the way through, which is an interesting kind of a coalescence, isn't it? Of Veterans Day to Teachers Day. It wasn't just one group. The soldiers, it wasn't just the leader, and it wasn't just a couple of guys. All those things work together, but I think there's something heroic in just the thing, well, if you got to hold your arms up the whole time, let's just prop them up. Aaron and Hur are heroic in this thing too. These two men's mission, Aaron and Hur, their mission is to lift Moses to do his mission. That's their mission, to help him do his. To hold his staff up with him. They didn't hold his staff, that's his calling. Their calling was not to hold the staff. Their calling was to lift him. Teachers, are you feeling that yet? Your mission is to help lift them up. Coaches, to lift them up. They were heroes because they were upholders. They let them do their mission. They prepared them for the mission. They let them carry the mission all the way through to the end. The battle, I believe, would surely have been lost if Aaron and Hur had not been there or been willing to be selfless and say, this is not about me. I will hold your arm up as long as, put your elbow right here. I'll hold it like this all day long. I'll do it until the battle's done. Today, we want to stop and we want to thank you, Aaron's and Hur's. You are doing it in schools all over our community. You're doing it on fields, serving our kids. You're doing it in conversations in coffee houses, helping somebody get from here to here, even if they don't get it yet. We know that your arms get tired too. And so for a moment, from your position of Aaron or your position of Hur, we'd like you to let the arms down for a second. We want you to sit down and be Moses for a second. We want to hold your arms up. That's what today is. Pure and simple. We want to hold your arms up and say, thank you. Thank you for being the person that gets it. Thank you for being the person that communicates it to us so clearly and so faithfully and so consistently and so forgivingly when we resist. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for being Aaron, for being Hur. We want to lift you up. Catch your breath for a second. Catch your breath from the hard work of what you've been doing and take a deep breath for the hard work your head is ahead of you. Because it is. Tomorrow will be hard. The next day may be even harder. Your mission is to make sure everybody else gets their mission done. There is a world. You don't hear anything else. Last 2 minutes. Hear this. There is a world warring against those you serve. Kids in your class, kids on your field, the adults that you're helping to get from here in their life to being able to be a wage earner that they would have never been had you not loved, whatever it may be. There's a war waging against them. And that battle is fierce. And it's not just a battle for bodies or for minds, although those things are going on. We as a church would say there's also a battle going on for soul. And all these three things are happening. And you're a part of that. We're just all tackling it from different angles. But it's not just a battle. It's simplified as saying a battle between good and evil. That's too simple. It is not just that. Those of us who are coaches know the difference between, as a football coach, the difference between getting a ball 1 yard, just lean forward with the ball. You get 1 extra yard. It's not massive. It may not be a touchdown, but it's going to get us closer to a first down. We know the difference is not just simply good versus evil. It's giving up versus going further. There's a battle that's going on between a lesser dream and doing what we've been made to do. It's a battle between doing good enough and doing the absolute best for our lives. You're coaching, you're teaching, you're not just saying this is a good versus evil thing. We know for sure that's what's going on. But it's more than that. It's to say, I need to get you all the way here. We got to hold them up until the battle is done. That's our calling. That's our job. But it's bigger than that. We don't just teachers, preachers, coaches. We are upholders. It's a calling that is deeper than those titles. That's your gig. And our resilience in this battle for them, fellow Aaron's and Hur's, will not just make a difference during one day's battle, it will make a difference forever. It will make a huge difference for generations. Because one day, the Moses whose arms you are holding right now, that 5th grade student you're trying to make sure does the right thing, that kid you're coaching up, one day, he is not just going to be a Moses anymore, who's weak and feeble. One day, he is going to replace that spot with somebody else, and he's going to come around and he's going to be an Aaron. She's going to be a Hur. They will remember you, and they will remember how you did it. They will remember the difference that you made, and they will emulate you, good or bad, strong or weak, hardworking or lazy. That's a choice we have to make every single day. I know you know that when you walk into your class. That is how a life is lifted. That is how a classroom is lifted. That is how a team is lifted. And that's how a world is lifted. You cannot give up. You are called to this. You are Aaron and you are Hur. You are called to that because the world needs lifting, Aaron, and the world needs you, Hur. I remember this particular night also, but it was at the end of my high school year. My high school career, I had a basketball coach whose name was Lynn Boysinger. And he coached me for 2 years. I played on that team. It's hard to believe that a person that's 5'7" could be on a basketball team in high school, but I was. And he was my coach. He was a great coach. But I remember it was one of the last few practices of my senior year. And so that season was coming to winding down. And I remember we locked up the gym that night. We locked up the school, and all my buddies, all my teammates, they had taken off. And Coach Hoysinger and I were just kind of walking out. And the first 5 minutes of that conversation, after everyone had left, in the darkness of that parking lot, a couple lights on the school. We were talking about basketball, about what's going to happen next for these last few games, and how we need to take our game to the next level, and stuff like that. But it's very surface level. And then he said, "John, what are you doing?" He knew I'd been sensing a call from God into ministry, but he wanted to go deeper. He's like, "What are you doing? Are you going to go all the way with that? Because I think you need to." And so we spent the next hour there on that poorly lit area outside of our school. He said things to me as a coach and as a man, as a fellow Christian, that I was hoping were true, and things that people whose names are not your own, that Mom thinks you're the best. You could be, Adolf Hitler, and you got a good quality. You love petting cats, and they see that in you, right? Everybody loves you that's got your last name. But somebody who does not have your last name recognizes something in you and says, "You need to do this. You're not going to quit on me, right, John? God, I was there when God called you to that." And he said things to me that reminded me of what had happened just 6 months before then, and the things I had hoped were true. There are Aaron's and Hers. Mine would have to be Bob Moreland and Lynn Hoysinger at that time in my life. You were that person, and those things have stuck with me forever. What you say tomorrow in your classroom, what you say on the stage or downstairs with our kids' ministries or on the field tomorrow will make a difference forever. They will live their lives like that. They will lead their families like that. They will lead their corporations and their teams like that. What a great privilege. And that is why it's our phenomenal privilege to say, thank you for coming here and letting us just for a moment, holding your arms. Please do not quit. Please keep doing it. You are called to this. You are called to be an upholder. Lord God, thank you for the gift of teachers. People teaching us lessons in so many different possible ways. And God, I pray that you would protect them, Lord, that you would infuse them with creativity and vigor and a reminder and a love, Lord, a passion for the calling that you led them to. God, I pray that you not only protect them, but Lord, you bless them. Lord, wherever tomorrow looks, that Lord, Sunday would change our Monday. And so whatever tomorrow is tomorrow, God, I pray that it would be good and deep and rich for them. Thank you for being the ultimate example, God. In the great name of Jesus Christ. And all of God's people said, Amen. Have a fantastic day. Teachers, please, anyone who's been here as an honored guest and those that are with you, you can make your way out this door and down the stairs. Follow the apples, and you got some gifts down there for you. We would love to be able to spend some more time with you. So God bless you. Have a fantastic day, everybody.